Hey, this is Andrew Lim, inviting you to go out on a limb. So I'm now in my beloved home city, which is New York City. It's also home to 8 million other people. Yes, that means every day I have to fight for space on the subway with these 8 million other people, as well as space on the sidewalk. Frankly, it's really the tourists that stop to admire everything on the sidewalk that is the problem, but we will not go there. So 8 million people means that there are 8 billion hungry mouths to feed at any given time in this city that apparently does not sleep. New Yorkers constantly seek out ways to get their hunger fulfilled, and it's not surprising that delivery was used here way before other cities started talking about it or embracing it. So having said that, I thought it would be interesting to take a look at New York and the role it has played in influencing food delivery in this country from a historical perspective as well as at present. It's lunchtime in New York City, and people are crowding the sidewalks looking for places to enjoy lunch at the restaurants or get lunch back to work. Now, but not everyone has the luxury of leaving their workspace, so they rely on delivery. Now, in a big city like New York, where there's always gridlock as well as traffic congestion, people deliver food on bikes, on skateboard, as well as on foot, because speed of delivery matters in this city where everybody seems to be running out of time. Way before delivery became a common access method for people to get food, takeout was already a popular food access method in New York. Now, in the 20th century, you'll be surprised, but seafood items like oyster, scallops were actually offered by restaurants as take-home special. For example, there was a restaurant called Bradley's Oyster Room, I don't believe it exists anymore, offered scallops fried in a box to take home for 25 cents or so. So obviously, takeout was already a popular method in New York City back in the 1900s. Of course, eventually seafood consumption had to be curbed due to overfishing, but the containers where these seafood items were put in survived, but this time only to contain Chinese food. Now, known as oyster pail, this container has become so popular that even movies and TV shows feature actors eating Chinese food out of them, these oyster pails. So around this time, the Second World War had ended, and many soldiers who returned home from Europe developed a taste for Italian cuisine. So this, coinciding with the mass immigration of Italians to New York, had put pizza on the map. So consumers in New York could take pizza home as offered by the Italian restaurants that were popping up all over the city. So pizza and Chinese restaurants really moved the delivery needle in New York. Even select McDonald's locations have been offering delivery in the city for more than a decade. Even popular chain restaurants like Otoya from Japan offer delivery here in New York when they don't do it back home. So with delivery being such a preferred method for consumers to procure food in New York, the natural question would be, is New York City where the first food delivery in this country was made? Now, disappointingly, no. The pioneers of delivery for the two most commonly delivered food items, which are Chinese food and pizza, are actually found on the other side of the country, the ever so congested Los Angeles. There was a Chinese restaurant named Kinchu Cafe that proclaimed that it was the only place in the West Coast making and delivering real Chinese food as far back as 1922. Even though as pizza was taking off in New York after World War II and many places were offering takeout options, it was again a restaurant in Los Angeles called Casa de Amor that began offering what is thought to be the first example of free delivery. Not having the first Chinese or pizza restaurant making delivery does not mean that New York has not contributed to the food delivery scene. In the last decade, a few companies focusing on main food delivery or those serving a niche were actually founded in the Big Apple. Even celebrity chefs like David Chang founded one, which unfortunately had to close last year. But as the rising real estate prices in New York keep driving restaurants out of business, virtual restaurant concept like this one run by Kitchen United is getting more and more appealing, so do not be surprised if New York City becomes home to a few of these facilities in a year or two. Now, the format for preparing the delivery of the meal to New Yorkers may change over time. New Yorkers' need for delivery will never diminish. After all, this is a city with 8 million people to feed.